Hi again and welcome to another video. We're literally just a week away from Essen. I'm super excited. I've been watching Tabletop together, been using the tool to find out which games are coming out, and I'm trying to manage my list to see which ones I'm gonna go after for demos or to buy. And there've been over 1,100 entries so far, and every day I'm just refreshing, checking to see if there are some new games out. So I thought I'd make a top 10 most anticipated games for Essen this year. These games here are in no particular order. I'm just gonna put 10 of them, which I'm really excited to see. And some of the games like On Mars or Paladins of the West Kingdom, I've already kickstarted, so you're not gonna see them on this list. So these are the ones that I'm gonna be basically hunting down this Essen. So without further ado, let's head over to the list. First off, we have TERRAMARA. It's from the same designers that brought us Coimbra and Lorenzo El Magnifico. What first caught my attention was the artwork itself. The illustration is really beautiful. And then when I started to look into the game itself, it had this really interesting mechanism where you send out your workers, and the further down on a track where you send your workers, the later in the game you'll retrieve them back. So I just thought it sounded really interesting, and with such great designers, how could you miss out this game? So let's head over to the next one. It's gonna be Orleans Stories from Rainer Stockhausen. Orleans is a game that is part of many people's top 10s list, and I recently just started, I recently tried this game, and it instantly fell into our favorite games of all time. All of my friends were in love with it. My fiancée as well, she rarely likes to play games, but this one is really high on her list. So therefore, Orleans Stories, when it was announced, I was instantly hooked. The next one is Maracaibo. Maybe this is not a big surprise. You've probably heard this on many people's top 10 list, and that's because the designer is Alexander Pfister. He made games such as Great Western Trail, and last, I think it was Blackout Hong Kong, and I'm just intrigued with this one. It doesn't seem too overly complex rules-wise, but the complexity is where I think this game will shine. The theme itself looks really interesting. So Maracaibo from Alexander Pfister. So the next game I have is Orb Hunters from Spanish Ediciones Primigenio, it's called. It's from designer Germain P. Millian. I'm pretty sure I pronounced that very bad, but he made actually one of my most anticipated Essen games last year, which was Kingdom Defenders. So this one is actually more like a filler. The rules were pretty simple, and the artwork is by the Miko, and the game itself is played in the same universe as Kingdom Defender, so that's why it's on my list, and I'm really excited to check this one out. Then we have The Magnificent. This is a game which, just from the artwork itself, from the box cover, it instantly caught my attention. It has this pretty dark circus or magic vibe to it. It's a pretty straightforward worker placement, but the artwork is very different, and that's why it caught my attention. It's from the same designers as that brought us Santa Maria a while ago. So I read the rules, it seemed really interesting. Not too overly complex worker placement, but it has some interesting aspects with some Tetris shaped tiles and so on. So dark but still colorful, beautiful artwork, so that's why it's on my list. Next game up I have AQUATICA, which is from Ivan Tuzovsky. It's an engine building game, and what really caught my attention with this one is that it is underwater kingdoms, and the artwork is really beautiful. I'm sucker for artwork and theme, and this one just caught my attention from the box cover itself and the artwork on the game. It seems like a pretty easy gateway engine building game with where you recruit creatures in order to conquer some lands and kingdoms, and then you're supposed to activate some abilities with these kingdoms. So let's head over to the next one, which is Judge Dredd, HELTER, SKELTER. This one is actually re-implementation of Wildlands. So if you played Wildlands, this is exactly the same game, it's just with the Judge Dredd theme. So Wildlands was actually, it came out last year's Essen, I think, but I recently got Wildlands after I got rid of my Mythic Battles Pantheon collection, and I was really surprised by the game, and we all just wanted to play it over and over and over again. So that's why Judge Dredd is on my list. I really like the artwork, and I love Wildlands. So from Martin Wallace, Osprey Games, Judge Dredd. Let's head over to the next one, which is SANCTUM. This one is from Czech Games edition. It's designed by Filip Neduk. It's the same designer that brought us Adrenaline, which many people refer to as the first-person shooter board game. So what SANCTUM is basically like the Diablo version of board gaming. You have these, it's a 2 to 4 player game where you have these adventurers walking down a path and fighting different monsters and creatures, and after that just collecting loot and gaining victory points. I'm just intrigued. I'm interested by the theme itself, that it's supposed to be a Diablo-esque board game, and my friends are also excited for this kind of game, so that's why it's on my list. SANCTUM from Czech Games edition. Next up we have is Last Bastion. This one is from Antoine Bauza. It's basically a reskinned Ghost Stories, which is a very, very good but very, very difficult co-op game. Ghost Stories was a little bit of a miss in our group because mainly the artwork and the theme itself wasn't appealing to everyone. This one, Last Bastion, is a re-implementation of Ghost Stories, and it's reskinned with a fantasy theme. So it's more appealing to my group, and I think I will get it to the table more. So that's why it's on my list. Last Bastion. So the last game of this list is Flotilla from WIZKIDS. This one is designed by JB Howell and Michael Michalczyk, and it's some sorts of city building game where you try to rebuild the city on water after a nuclear blast that caused the water levels to rise. So it has two different stages. One in which where you play as in the sink side, where you try to explore and gather resources, and you can just play the game on that stage and still win. But you can also swap to Skysiders, in where you're trying to rebuild the city. So it seems really interesting, and Michael Michalczyk has some really cool ideas lately, so that's why I'm interested in Flotilla. So that's it, everyone, for my most anticipated games of Essen 2019, or at least my top 10 of them. So if you think there are some games that I definitely shouldn't miss, please let me know what they are in the comments down below, because I certainly don't want to miss any of those. And if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe, and I hope to make more content in the future. So see you in the next one. Bye.